Let's go! Woo! Come on.
YouTube, what is up? We are back with another day, and our glutes are mother trucking sore from those lunges and deadlifts today. But we got a snatch today because we messed up our lifting schedule, and we got a hit tracks tournament Saturday and a concert on Friday. So it's all kind of mumble jumble. So we got to get our snatches in today. Otherwise, we're not going to find a way to get them in this week with everything we got going on. We got about an hour. We're going to hit muscle snatches. We're going to build up something heavy on the muscle snatches. We're going to hit some regular snatches from the blocks, just kind of see where we're at. Not really expecting a big day on regular snatches, but maybe we turn it into something. Would be kind of cool. Going to play with that wide grip today. And we got some bench press to get those titties popping. Pretty simple day. Let's get after it. Let's go. So hit a couple warm-up sets here. Now we're starting to cook on these muscle snatches. Haven't done muscle snatches in a while. I just totally blacked out on them. And again, K-Dot is my dude when it comes to Oli variations. He was doing muscle snatches again. I'm like, yeah, I haven't done these in a while, and I really enjoy these. So we're going to rip these, see where we're at today. Let's go. Oof. Gotta lock out those knees, dude. Oof. Oof. Whee. Let's go. Weekend we got two friends in town, so pretty excited about that. Two friends, the band, the Big Booty Mix guys, so pretty excited for that concert. It's coming up my brothers and cousins' first concert they're going to. So excited to show them a little bit of the rave world, and we're gonna get after it. So that's the vibes for the week. Let's get after it. Ooh. Oh, that turnover is a little goofy. Gotta get a little bit more speed off the ground. Ooh. Ooh. There we go. That was nice. Let's go. Reading the book, Why Greatness Can't Be Planned right now, and I'm only like 15 pages in, but this book is absolutely fire. I've been totally digging kind of the underlying message of the entire book and the premise of the entire book. Just how a lot of humans use objectives and data and solid information to show us linear progress as kind of our security blanket in our pursuit of a task, right? Like to know that we're pursuing or know that we're achieving a task, we need numbers, we need metrics, we need things that prove it to ourselves, right? And a lot of times these numbers and the data, they can really limit us in our ability to figure things out and discover things that we need to discover along the path of obtaining these objectives. One of the examples they use in like the real life world is the process of creating computers and discovering computers. And one of the things, I think it was a vacuum tube is what we use for computers and using energy in computers. And they talked about how vacuum tubes were originally created not for computers. They were created for something completely different. And if these vacuum tubes were not created, we'd never have computers, right? So if somebody wasn't completely pursuing a different task in a different way and strictly only pursuing the pursuit of creating a computer, we'd never actually have computers, right? Because it was this outside perspective, this outside creation that allowed us to create the computer in and of itself. And I think we see that a lot of this in the strength conditioning world and the sports performance world, where we really try to force ourselves into the objectives, force ourselves into these molds, force ourselves into these movement models, and it really limits the creativity and this outside projected. It limits our ability to create these vacuum tubes, this outside thing that could really change our game, right? And I think you can bring it as simple to the weight room stuff, where we're playing around with a bunch of different variations in the weight room and discovering different things in the weight room. And I really find it in my swing, where I'm playing with different drills, trying different drills, and really discovering different things in my swing that I would have never thought about, trying to fit these certain molds and these certain things that I'm supposed to do with my swing, right? And I know this for a fact because there was a 2-year period where I was really drilling my head into the objective stuff, into the straight linear process of skill acquisition. And there was nothing really negative there other than it was just a slower, less entertaining process. And now when I'm working with Dan, where he's teaching a kind of a 108 model, if you guys don't follow 108, I'm really trying to get him on the podcast working on that aspect of it. But the amount of drills and different things they try to create an athletic hitter is exactly the way that I approach the weight room and movement literacy here at Yoga Strength, which is allowing the hitter to figure out what is athletic for them, what is their swing style, what works for them, right? And I think a lot of times us as coaches really limit our athletes because in that approach, it's a lot more messy, right? Like you don't know if the muscle snatch is going to work for somebody. You don't know if the hang snatch is going to work for somebody. You don't know if the split snatch is going to work for somebody. So instead of playing around and trying to find that exponential gain and that thing that could really take that athlete to the next level, we really force a lot of these athletes into our mold of things that we know work on average, right? And I don't believe that average model is super productive in the sports performance world or really in life, right? Like, I think the more you force yourself into those molds, the more average to above average you are going to be. And most athletes I work with, they don't want to be above average, right? They want to be one of one. And I really do believe that's the sign of a phenomenal athlete. And you see it in athletes like Patrick Mahomes, where throwing the ball the way Patrick Mahomes throws the ball, the creativity that he has, sidearms, everything like that, like it wasn't a thing. It would have been completely frowned upon 10 years ago. And now every model is copying that, right? And it's because you had an athlete that broke out of the mold athlete that played instead of forced, and they enter this exponential game, right? And when you have an athlete of somebody like Patrick Mahomes' caliber, where they could literally just play the linear game and exceed, but you have that athlete play the exponential game, you see massive results. And that's where I really believe the more average you are as an athlete, the more you really do need to play that exponential game of creativity and playing it and finding what it means for yourself to be a good athlete, rather than trying to fit into these molds, right? So in a lot of your movement practices and the drills that you're doing and the things that you're doing, what feels right for you? Feel these things, think about these things, right? And the linear process is, as long as you're showing up, the linear process is still gonna come. And we need to start playing the exponential game with our athletes. We need to start playing the exponential game with ourselves and accept a little bit of the awkwardness that comes with it, accept a little bit of the failure that comes with it. And if we wanna be a different athlete, a lot of times we have to play a different game than a lot of these athletes are playing. And a lot of these coaches are forcing onto the athletes. And I think it's pretty freeing, right? So maybe just add a little more variation in your program. Plan just a little bit less. Think about those vacuum tubes to create the computer, right? And let's enter that exponential game, all right? So let's get after this. Let's go. Oh, what am I doing? That was not a muscle snatch. Ooh. And that was a shoulder press. Gotta lock in here. A little sloppy. Feeling good though. Ooh. There we go. All right, let's start hitting some singles there and quickly get to the snatches. Let's go. And on that rant, I just think it's so important to talk about because it gives permission to athletes to do it. Because I will see athletes absolutely succeed in this approach of creativity and variation and entering the exponential game and leaving a little bit of that linear process and the super serious, strict mold of training. And then they hit a point where they start to get self-doubt. And again, you'll have self-doubt whether you're approaching a linear model or the exponential model. But they'll reach a point where they have a little bit of self-doubt and they instantly refer back to the linear model. They instantly refer back to coming back into the cage. And again, a lot of it is that security blanket of, okay, if I'm gonna mess up, if I mess up in the linear model, then I have reasons and excuses, and I can tell myself I did everything that I could have did because I did the right thing. Right? It's like you're gonna fail regardless. Like, why not fail going for fucking gold, bro? Why not fail going for it all? And I just had Nino Frappuccino on the podcast, and this dude's a world-class Olympic lifter, at least in my regard. Like, he's a fucking goat. Like, he's amazing at Olympic lifting. And he's talking about all the cool stuff he does, creativity in the weight room, and all the fun things that he does in the weight room. And then at one point he comes back to it and he says, I don't think it really helps in my training. I think I just do it for fun. And it's like, I see the self-doubt in somebody that has already succeeded and is already doing all these cool things, right? Like, I see that self-doubt in somebody that is all data points to prove that his model works. I just want to say to him, like, in that moment, I should have said it on the podcast, I'm like, I do think those things have an impact on your performance. And even if it is bare minimum just fun, having fun in the weight room gets you to show up in the weight room. You're showing up every day, you're gonna make progress, right? So like, I just think a lot of times when we get scared, and I mean, this is just straight like psychology. People enter fight or flight. When people enter this scarcity mindset, they really start to like come back into themselves and they start to take less risks and they start to be smaller, right? And that's when it really gets dangerous, because then the winners that continue to win, they expand more and more and more, and they give themselves more data points, and the people that are struggling become more condensed, more condensed, more condensed, more condensed. And that's why you see like average high school baseball coach that hasn't won a lot, like they are the most technical of anybody, because they are so drawn into these super specific models. And then you have these winners that are all talking about the athletic model, right? So I just think having permission and giving yourself permission to leave these linear models and accept the failure that's gonna come one way or the other, and actually go for broke and have enough confidence in yourself. Go for something bigger than what you're currently going for, man. I just really believe there's a lot to be unlocked in a lot of athletes. And I think the typical fallback is coming to something that is safe. And I don't think that safe approach works for most people. And I think there's a much better approach. And I don't think, especially when in the American sports world, we need to be stuck in that scarcity mindset. I think the more abundant mindset you have in your own abilities and your own training, the more abundant your skills are gonna be. And I think that's a moneymaker, all right? So let's get after that. I'm gonna add straps here for these 1 rep maxes because I wanna stay wide. I feel like I'm getting a little bit more narrow. I don't know why I can't see tension on the bar without that wide grip. It's feeling a little goofy, but I wanna be nice and wide here with these muscle snatches and continue into these regular snatches. So let's go. Oh, come on, dude, don't bend those legs, dummy. Ooh. Woo. Let's go. A couple more sets there, maybe 1 or 2 more sets, and then we'll get the regular snatches. And in that regard, I think there's a lot of benefit in many times and in many pursuits to not have a strict coach in what you're doing, right? I think it's awesome to have a guide or somebody that you're working out with. But if we're with this Olympic lifting approach, like I specifically approached it in a way of which I was figuring it out by myself and organically rather than following a super strict program, and still am like trying to figure it out on the fly. I just think learning skill sets like that is a much more organic and long-term growth way to do it. And it takes longer at the start, but I think when you do figure it out by yourself and you have those aha moments, whether they're right or wrong, technically right or wrong in the best way, if they work for you, I think you can develop a lot of really cool skill sets in that way. And I just think part of the training journey is finding some of these things out and how your body moves without a step-by-step action. I just think so many athletes are constricted, and that's why I approach these Olympic lifts in this way, in the idiotic way, and just like literally just ripping the bar and learning how to do it myself. And it's been super rewarding, and we're starting to get through these aha moments. And now I'm finding points where coaching cues are actually kind of helpful, right? Like I've explored a bunch of different ways, and now I get like a small little tip there, and it actually makes sense to me, or I can kind of decipher it in a certain way. And I think that's something that's not talked about a lot in the coaching world too, where it's like we give these cues that just don't mean anything to the athletes because they're not ready for that cue. They don't get what the fuck that cue is. They don't have enough reps to understand what that cue is. So you're putting them through these models that just, like, they're literally Spanish. It's like you're starting them at Spanish 200, and they don't know their colors in Spanish, right? They don't know how to count in Spanish, right? Like it's such a, you're skipping steps because you understand it. It makes sense for you, right? So I think there needs to be certain time period athletes' careers in which they are figuring things out by themselves. And I think the best coaches allow them to figure it out themselves while just giving them a little bit of guidance. But I think a lot of times when the coach is there, the athlete over-relies on the coach, and the coach over-relies on themselves with these cues. It takes away a little bit of that creative freedom in their skill development process. All right, let's get after it. Let's go. Oof, let's go. All right, so I believe that last rep was tying my all-time PR on the muscle snatch. I really got to start writing these numbers down. So I think this would be a 10-pound, 5-pound, 10-pound PR on the muscle snatch. So 185 here for a muscle snatch. That'd be kind of cool. Let's get after it. Oh, let's go. Woo! Little slight bend. I might have to redo that. I'm gonna watch the camera just to see if I got under that slight bend. Otherwise, we'll count it and we'll go into regular snatches. But that felt pretty clean. If I didn't get to that rep with that slight bend, I'll do another. I got that. Let's go. I don't know why I'm being a form Nazi about the lower body when I'm shoulder pressing it up anyways, but I caught it a little bit bent and then went through. I tried not to use the legs anyways, but I want to catch that locked out and then shoulder press it up. So for my own muscle snatch standards, since we're not competing anytime soon, for my own PR lists, I want to catch that locked out. Let's go. Ah! Oh, that's definitely gonna snap. Mess up my, got a little woozy there. Definitely gonna smash, definitely gonna mess up my snatch form doing that. That was a fucking get it up there and shoulder press, but felt good. Let's get to some snatches. We'll snatch real quick, we'll bench real quick, we'll get in, we'll get out. I almost passed the fuck out there. That was crazy. Let's go. We're gonna hit a couple sets of snatches. Hopefully the form comes back. Did something a little bit weird. I dropped all the way back down to 135, hit a set at 135, hit a set at 155. Now we're gonna hit a set at 165, 185, keep adding weight from there. I just want to get my timing back. I felt like those muscle snatches a lot of times mess up my timing. I didn't even try that 185. I knew it was going to be all goofy. But I want to go full snatches today, not no foot. And the no foot snatches I've been feeling absolute money. It's what I've been PRing on. But I feel I've totally lost the ability to not do a no foot snatch. And I just want that ability back. So regardless of if it's sloppy or not today, we're going to do regular snatches. We're going to have that foot leave the ground. It's probably going to be pretty jumpy forward, but I just want that feel back, man. I feel like I've lost that. The no foots feel absolutely money, but I want the no foots to be a little bit of a tool for regular snatches. And again, this could be completely wrong. This could be the total wrong advice, so don't follow me. I just thinking about things right now, right? We're just trying things, we're experimenting things. We're going to get back into regular snatches, so let's go. Ooh. That actually felt pretty good. Ooh. Oh yeah, I like the feel of those. Let's go. All right, so we're supposed to sauna in 5 minutes. Kellen's gonna kill me. I'm gonna be late. I gotta poop. We're desperately running out of time. So if we have any shot at benching today, I'm gonna have to switch these to singles. Hopefully get something crispy on these singles before we gotta go. Then we'll bench. Let's get after it. Ooh, let's go. Gotta keep working on that lockup position. It's better. I really like that wide grip. A little bit more room for error, but I still gotta punch it out, man. I'm getting up there in that lack position, but it's still like a slight bend. It's better than my normal, where I gotta punch it and I'm hitting myself in the forehead. So really just gotta punch that finish, and I'm struggling with being able to use my feet and leaving. Like when I have that no foot, I'm staying. It's almost like a closed stance in softball with that no foot, where I feel like I can stay in the ground much longer and I have something to decelerate against. When I have my feet on the ground, it feels like I can pull for a super long time before those feet leave the ground, and then I can just sink underneath and I stay in the spot. Whereas when I take away those feet and I make it a little bit more explosive, I'm jumping, and then instead of sinking underneath, I'm jumping and like catching super strict. It's almost like a power snatch. I just need to like get underneath that bar a little bit better. So I'm gonna try and focus on that as we go. Let's rip. Oh, that felt nice. Let's go. The ultimate meathead super set where we're running out of time, so we're starting to warm up on the bench in between these. So we're ripping 1 single here and 5 on the bench, back and forth. I'm gonna start calling it the American contrast right here. So let's get after it, let's go. Oh, oh, let's go. If I get this and anything above this, today is an absolute win on what I was expecting to do with the snatches. And my butthole was so fucking sore from those lunges and deadlifts coming in. If we rip this, I'm gonna be a happy, happy man. Let's get after it. Oh yeah! Woo! Woo! That last set felt freaking phenomenal. If we can get that elbow to hold up, man, I might have to stay away from meatheaded muscle snatches because my elbow is pretty flamed up from that, and it's been feeling pretty good recently, so kind of fuck that up. If we can get that elbow to hold up here, we might be able to hit a sickening PR, or at least tie it. Like, we're feeling cooking today. Let's go. Drive that fucking bar up, you bitch. Come on. Accelerate. Accelerate. Let's go. Ah! Whoa! Let's go. All right, we're starting to get pretty sloppy with that lockout position, and I'm feeling the gas leave the engine right now. So we're gonna send this. This will be a 5-pound PR. This will be fucking sick. Last week we got 230 off that hang. This will be 235. I'd be pretty ecstatic about that. Let's get after this shit. Let's go. Ah! Let's go! Woo! Come on. All right. Well, that was sloppy. Caught it on the forehead. All those years of being made fun of as a child for having a big head, finally paying off with the snatches. Have a lot of surface area to catch that bar on. Didn't love the lockout position that we've been doing, but that's the first time I think I've ever done snatches where I haven't missed a lift, so that was pretty fucking sweet. And we had a 5-pound PR. Pretty pumped about that. Again, it wasn't beautiful, caught it on the head, but I was completely out of gas. The fact we got that up at all is pretty sweet. So we're gonna power through these benches, hit a heavy set of 3, get in, get out. This will be quick. Let's go. Been holding in this pre-workout poop for about 45 minutes, so I apologize in advance and Brace North and Kellen for what I'm about to do to your bathroom when I finish up this lift here. But we gotta squeeze it in for a couple more sets and finish up strong here. Let's go. We're actually not going to survive if we do another set after this. So we're going to make this our last set here. Even it is clean. I don't think it's going to be super clean. I think this will be pretty stimulating for me. So it should be a good set to end on. I'm pretty pumped about those snatches. But one thing I wanted to talk about with the specialty bars, when it comes to specialty bars and benching with specialty bars or squatting with specialty bars, I think a lot of coaches really overhype the injury prevention and how specialty bars make people feel. And I shouldn't even say overhype, but I think the reasoning is different than what a lot of people say. Like they talk about specialty bars like they're special, right? Like there's magic to them. And the neutral grip bar saves the shoulders because of the bar in and of itself. And while there are definitely bars that people respond better to, and I'm not saying a neutral grip bar can't help some athletes and they just feel better pressing a neutral bar than a regular bar. I think a lot of it honestly just comes down to the variation, and it's the only time meatheads really get any variation in their program is when they do a specialty bar, right? So it's just a slight change in the action and they're still able to get a lot of work in. So it's not that the bar puts you in a better position or a special position that magically cures all the issues. I think it's that you just are so used to running your face on the wall, doing the same exact thing over and over again with the straight bar, that when you do use a specialty bar, you're finally adding just a little bit of variation in your body. And I think the body responds very well to variation, right? So I think it's probably like an 80-20 split where the 20% is the benefit of the bar and certain bars putting you in special positions. But I think a lot of it is you can get it done with a regular bar. You just have to add variation into your program, right? And I just think specialty bars is the introduction. It's like the first taste of variation to meatheads, and a lot of meatheads don't expand off of that. And you'll see a lot of meatheads swear by specialty bars and then talk about how all variation is bullshit and you need to take training more seriously. And it's kind of funny. It's like a paradox they're arguing with themselves. And they agree with variation when it comes to specialty bar because they've accepted that hypothesis and they write it off, where if you're doing like a close grip versus a wide grip versus a single arm press versus just some goofy variation of a press, right? But I think a lot of the magic in the specialty bars is just the variation and not doing the same thing repetitively over and over again. If you aren't blessed enough to have all of this special equipment and you are feeling beat up in certain pressing patterns, certain squatting patterns, I think just adding in some variation can give you a lot of the similar benefits and take away a lot of the wear and tear that you're having. It'll just look a little bit more goofy and it won't look as cool as benching or squatting with a safety squat bar or an axle bar, right? So just my 2 cents on specialty bars. Let's get after this last set. Let's go.
Oof, come on. Boom. Let's go. That's a good ass day. I'm gonna go use the bathroom and sauna. I appreciate you guys watching. Let's get this shit to 10K. Let's go. Keep chopping wood.